Hello everyone, Red here. In this video I'm going to show you how to properly use the Animation Maker script. Now, the first thing that you will need is a programmable block. This video presumes that you know how to use one. So you just go into your script, get Animation Maker, and have it installed into your programmable block. The type of blocks that you need are everything related to mechanical block. So piston, hinges, rotors, all that type of stuff. It also works with timer blocks. Now, in order for the script to know which block to use, you will have to tag them. In that case, I'm going to tag them test. The default tag for the script is move, but you can change it as whatever you want. There we go. And afterwards, you just need to give them a number, not the same number though. The idea is to give them a different ID for the script to recognize and use. And now we can enter our first argument, which is photo. Now, since this is our very first frame, and depending on the type of animation that you want to create, either you are going to create two photo, as in execute it 2 times, or 3 times. For a single frame, it is 3 times. Reason being because we want to trick the script into thinking that this is a fully fledged animation, and this is due to some settings. The reason why you want your first frame in all cases is to be at least 2 photo and 2 frames, is because what the script detects is the difference in position between 2 blocks. Meaning that the first frame that you create, if you only make 1 photo for your very first one, it doesn't detect that one and doesn't consider it, it will only take into consideration the next one. Here's why we make 2, and since this is a single frame, 3. As for why we make it 3 instead of 2, I will give an explanation later. Then we save our animation, and now we can go into custom data, verify that it has been saved, and here, if you don't see anything named in the anim blob, it's because the script doesn't recognize the tag, because the tag right here is move. If we write it to be named test, just like we named our tag, now we can go back to photo, enter the argument photo, execute it 3 times, and then save. And now if we go into custom data, our anim blob have numbers, meaning that our animation was successfully saved. As for our first animation, who is still there and didn't work, you can do the argument undo with the number of the animation that you want to get rid of. And now, as you can see, I have 2 animation 2. This is simply a remnant of the previous animation. You can get rid of that one. As you can see, the anim blob is still full. And our animation that has been successfully saved is still here, and we got rid of the unwanted one. As for this animation, currently anim2 is the default name, but we can name it something else. And since this is our default position, we'll simply name it default. Now, in order for the script to save any changes done in the custom data, you want an empty argument, execute, and then recompile. Now, if you go back here, as you can see, default is still our name, test is still our tag name, everything has been saved correctly. Now we can start to work on a new animation, and for that it's as simple as moving your block in place. Now, the script in the way that it operates is kind of stupid, in the sense that if you have an obstacle in front of the animation, the script doesn't really have a way of knowing that there is an obstacle here. It cannot prevent itself from just slamming into it or jamming or something like that. So you need to account for that in your own animation. Again, we execute 2 times. Since this is the first frame of this animation, we can still keep moving and make more complex one. And Then afterwards you just need one photo once the animation is properly started. Let's go ahead for something a bit complex. There we go, last photo, and now we just save this new animation. If we go into custom data, as you can see, 2 animation created, new animation name, this one will simply name test. And as you can see, the anim blob is bigger. What the anim blob is simply the stored data of your animation. Position of the block, name, all of that. We execute, we recompile, name is saved correctly, so now if I play test, this is not what I want to do, there we go. It goes back into its original first frame and then it moves into position to make the animation. Now, the syntax of the argument is important because you can either queue or combo or chain different animation just with that. You can chain them just by executing them multiple times. I executed it 3 times here, it will play 3 times in a row. I'm going to stop it now. There we go. We can make it go back to default, of course. And you can even chain different animations. So let's say that you write as follow. Your first animation, comma, space, and then your next animation. And you can even go back to default, so comma, space, default. You've just made a chain of animations. So now if I execute, it will just perform the animation and then even go back to default. You can change the speed. The speed is set between 0 and 1. So for example, if I hit 0.50, it will be slightly faster, as the default speed is 0.25. Max speed is therefore 1. And yeah, as you can see, it's significantly faster. Even for the default ones, let's say that I put 1, the piston will retract or extend way faster. Now, if you want a general speed to be modified here, you can enter a name. Granted, it will most likely be modified with the argument. But this is if you don't want to modify all of your speed. If you just have a series of animation and you're satisfied with a specific speed, such as, let's say, 0.75, 0.25, 0.15, something like that, you can just enter it here and all your animation will be subjected to that. All of these here are the list of arguments that you can do, have, and also some tags. So block tag is test, as we've done before. Photo is to start your animation and take in consideration the frames. Save is to finish it. Play is unfortunately a remnant of the old script, so that one you don't need to care about. Start is to forcefully start the creation of a brand new animation. Let's say that you begin to make one but you're not satisfied with it. You can sort of cancel the process by entering start and just make a brand new photo from where you're at. Reset will delete everything that you've done so far, a really hard reset. Undo will delete the latest animation that you've done by default, and if you enter the number of the specific animation that you have, it will delete that animation specifically. Timer is just the tag that you can give to your timer block in order for the script to recognize them. So for example, if I go on my timer block, I enter timer and name it test. Preferably you don't want any space while naming those, just in case. Then let's go ahead for a small test. A light. Have it on and off. And now I've named it as such. If I go into my programmable block and enter the argument test for my animation, comma, space, and then the name of my timer block, so timer test. Once this animation is finished, it will play the timer block, as in activate it instantly. So now if I do that, my light has turned off at the end. So yeah, even if that script cannot do something for you by its default state, you can still activate timer blocks to perform certain action that you would need. As we keep on going on to the settings, now allow chain timer stays true, speed multiplier is, as stated before, just a general change for speed. Here you have the max velocity for your pistons. Now those two angles you don't touch. Blend advance is the reason why we need to have 3 frames for a first set of animation, or a single frame animation. It is because, first, as I've said before, the script doesn't really take into consideration the first frame. What it does take into account is the difference in position between 2 mechanical blocks, so only the second frames count. And blend animation, in order to smooth animation, will skip some frame, or play them before they're supposed to be finished. For example, here I have blend advance 0.2 will even go to 0.3. With these settings active and taken into account, if I hit test, the animation will play significantly smoother, as you can see. Now, smoother does rhyme a bit with speed in that case. And because it kind of skips certain frames, that's why you need 3 to make it a proper animation and not just a single frame. That way, if it's a single frame, such as default, it will go back and play it. Because let's say that we create one from here. Let's go to create a simple animation with just 1 frame, and just by execute it 2 times. Then we save it, and then we try to replay it. So first I will play test to kind of shamble the whole thing. Since it's our third animation, it should be anim without an E3. It worked here, but sometimes it can glitch out. I had that experience before. So yeah, it would be preferable if you do, how is it called, have 3 frames. Something that is interesting to note is, as stated, it tends to kind of finish or skip frames, and this is the reason why our piston isn't fully retracted. So yeah, it can in some instances modify the way your animation play. It can smooth them out, but I would recommend that you either work with the modification, or you don't, or expect that type of behavior if it's not taken into account first. Those 2 settings right here are important. Before, as I've demonstrated, you can chain them, as in queuing animation. This is what chain does. If you turn this to false, and for example, override to true, what we have done is given ourselves the ability to cancel an animation. As in, I hit test, but I can just spam it, and as you can see, it will just try to play test once and cancel the currently playing animation. So if you need something that is versatile and that can change mid-course, this is the setting that you want to set to true. If you have chain in true, I don't know why I've gone there, if you have chain in true, it will still give you the ability to cancel currently playing animation, but it will queue those for later. So yeah, remember, for complex animation, 2 frames at the beginning, for single frame animation, 3. Always execute and then recompile with an empty argument to save everything that you have done in the custom data. And that's pretty much it. Experience to your liking, do some tests, and if you have any question or suggestion, leave them in the comments below of this YouTube video, or in the Steam workshop link. Have a good one everyone, and see you around.